you had mentioned that you actually lived with Chris Brennan. There was like a living quarters.
Yes.
Like, who were you living with at that living quarters at that time? Because he had some pretty big name guys there.
Yes. When I first moved out there, it was that was living. He had a couple guys living there nobody ever heard of, and Gerald Strebendt had moved out there a couple of days after I moved out there.
So you were in the same house as Gerald Strebendt?
In the same house as Gerald Strebendt, and he was a nut. He was funny, but he was a nut. And I got along well with him, but he didn't get along well with our other roommate, Tom Bunbury. Tom Bunbury was this big Englishman. He was a good-looking guy, blind guy. He wasn't there to fight. This was kind of like a hostel for Tom. Tom's from Europe. You know, he was somewhere. He was living in America for cheap, and he liked to train, but he didn't want to fight. He was just kind of doing it, you know, and he picked up a lot of girls because he's a big, good-looking Englishman with that English accent. Girls loved it. And I think Gerald didn't like that. So Gerald would always butt heads with Tom and give Tom a hard time. And like I said, Tom wasn't a fighter, so he wouldn't like push back too much. You know, but I got along well with Gerald. Gerald was a strange guy. And in with Gerald comes his uncle, Rafael Torre, where some of you may or may not have heard of before.
Wait. Was Rafael Torre also living there?
No. But he started coming around the gym because I don't know if because of Gerald or just because he was. But so go ahead.
We got to frame this properly so everyone can kind of catch up. So essentially, Gerald Strebendt, Rafael Torre is a guy that was from California, and he spoke with like an accent and was a black belt. Okay. And then Eddie Bravo starts rolling with him, but he immediately gets into the in crowd. Like he's hanging out with the Joe Rogans, he's hanging out with like the Eddie Bravos, the Gracies welcome because he was doing like a lot.
Let's put it like this: Rafael Torre was the Asu Hamdawi of Southern California.
so he was
10. Asu could actually roll. So if you rolled with Asu would footlock you, Asu would neck crank you. Rafael Torre didn't know shit. You know,
did you ever roll with Rafael?
No, but if you ever seen his fights when he fought his own student, King of the or whatever show it was out there, and it was
King of the Cage. So he did a bunch of fake fights.
A blue belt from Brazil, and he was half black Brazilian, kind of like.
He claimed he was a black belt.
I thought he said he claimed he was a blue. Maybe it was a black belt.
It was black. Yeah, no, okay. I'm like
real in tune with this story. If I'm not mistaken, I think his black belt was from his father, right? I think his father gave him his black belt, which
who probably wasn't a real person.
Which is sometimes maybe questionable, right?
Who wasn't real. You know, I think his connection to Brazil was his aunt on his father's ex-wife's sister side's grandma was half Brazilian. So in that. Then Rafael Torre was also Brazilian.
So he immediately becomes like jiu-jitsu royalty because there's not a lot of black belts in the United States. So he starts like doing a lot of press and he starts doing kind of like the Bad Breed TV. He's really like in with like the media in regards to what's happening. And like he carries himself like an absolute like authority in it. So in the meantime, Eddie Bravo rolls with the guy one time, and Eddie goes, I don't even think this guy's like a friggin' white belt. Like,
right.
And Eddie confronts him, and it kind of makes the jiu-jitsu circle. So now, like, the real people who have accepted him are kind of like, they got eyes on him.
Yes.
And what happens is Rafael is banging some chick at the gym.
Married chick
whose husband's got like a huge life insurance policy. With that life insurance policy, he goes to Gerald Strebendt and goes, hey, Gerald, I'm going to give you some cash. I'll give you like, I think it was $10,000, but you got to take care of dude for me. You know, because Strebendt's running around saying he's an all-pro Marine, you know, murderer, killer, all this stuff. Like, and he's also like an Eddie Bravo student. So Strebendt, in essence, doesn't go along with it, keeps his mouth shut. Rafael kills the guy. Like a year and a half later, Strebendt has like some sort of ethical, oh my gosh, I can't believe I let this happen. My personal opinion is He needed some money. He told Rafael, I know you did it. You got this huge life insurance policy. You got to pay me. Rafael said, absolutely not. And then he went and told the cops on him. That's my personal, that's what I think happened because I, former law enforcement, been around a few blocks. Yeah. But in essence, at that point, Rafael goes to jail. Strebendt testifies against him. In the meantime, Strebendt gets in a road rage altercation, kills an almost 60-year-old guy that's had a couple beers, point blank in the head, somehow gets self-defense, does 8 years, unarmed guy, right. I don't know, gets 8 years, comes out, gets popped for sexually molesting or rape an underage chick. And now he's a registered sex offender. So now we've got the backstory and we've come full circle. Wow. So you're telling me, was that you just being in jest in regards to Rafael Torre being his uncle, or is that what Gerald Strebendt told you at that time?
This is what Gerald Strebendt told me. And he kind of told the way
that's breaking news.
Was, huh?
That's breaking news because no one's ever said that before.
So he said, Gerald, everybody knew who Rafael was. So Brennan knew who he was, Gerald knew who he was, and Gerald was just kind of he's harmless. We just let him think that he's this jiu-jitsu guy, but he's harmless. He just wants to report on this stuff, and he kind of used that to get in. So he would come to the gym when Chris would do jiu-jitsu tournaments, then he would do his little write-ups, and nobody really cared. Nobody cared. We all knew he wasn't who he said he was, but nobody cared. And I just took what Gerald's word for it. He's harmless. Yeah, who cares? Then he goes on to end up murdering somebody. And
both. Well, I mean, it was a tag team effort right there, And what's crazy is when Rafael's up for murder charges, in court they said, and Rafael Torre's not even his name. So he gets convicted, and Rafael Torre, embarrassed by the entire situation, goes and gets his name legally changed before he goes to jail, because that's really important.